Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
let's
yeah.
do it.
Does dark mode actually have a toggle?
I think it's on by default.
I'd like to pretend that it does.
We sort of live here.
Welcome to the White Spring Bunker. These halls were built to safeguard some of the most prestigious members of the United States government. Now we are all that remains, though we are always looking for men and women capable of restoring what has been lost. In return, we offer this, our refuge from the world above. Please, take your time and look around. Our assets have made great efforts to restore this place to its former glory. Welcome, member, to our little enclave.
Hello and welcome. This is going to be an informal chat tonight. Consider it both a series retrospective and a bit of a cast party. I don't know if people have beverages or whatever, but it's a party. We're all here. We have lots to chat about. And of course, we're going to be taking questions from you guys in chat. While some of our main and recurring cast are here, I just want to mention that many, many, many are in chat too, as already mentioned, and just as important. And so we're excited to hear what you have to say and your contributions as well as we bring that through. Oh, we have right now another person entering the chat. There we go.
We have Day and the Overseer in
Hello.
the same place at the same time.
Hello, everybody. Sorry it took me a second to take care of some stuff, but I'm happy to be here.
No worries at all. We had just officially started, and that's perfect timing. We got everybody on screen right now. We've moved a little bit, but that's what should happen as people maybe come and go as they have to during the stream. The window should resize, but you know, we'll all be here, and you'll hear our lovely voices, which is what you're used to. Hopefully you enjoy the lovely faces too for once.
Oh my God.
One more thing to mention before we really just jump into it and start chatting. We do have a couple giveaways tonight. That's what I was hinting about earlier. Lawrence is generously putting up some pieces, some art pieces for you.
So this is, the first one is the original Lieutenant Colonel Valeria picture done by nobody. This was actually the first frame print that I ever got done. So this is one of the ones that I'm reluctant to get rid of, but we have an awesome community, so I would be happy to have this in one of our fans' homes. So there's this one. As I am such a fan of glass prints, I got this one done, which is the new Enclave emblem on glass that we will also be giving away as well. So please make sure you stay until the end so that we can give these away to an awesome member of our community.
Amazing. Super generous. Everybody, put in hashtag MODUS to be entered. It's a random giveaway. There are two pieces. We can have two separate winners. And we will draw towards the end of the stream tonight. And if you are listening, because we love you all, if you have to leave, you don't have to be present to win if you entered. I'd love to say that to encourage you to stay the whole stream. That's what streamers do, but that's not what we're about. So as long as you're entered, you're good. We'll draw your name. And 19 entries so far. That's pretty great. We have 30 viewers or so. That's awesome. Let's get started.
Well, I mean, first, I think we should just do a quick introduction of everybody and who their characters are in the episode. We have a couple of first timers here, which is incredible. Just as kind of an overview, our first episode dropped on October 20th, 2020. So it's been a wild ride. I'm Lawrence McNamara, the operative, the writer, the creator, the editor, the narrator, and started as a one-person operation. And I'm very happy to say that as time has gone on, I think the last time I checked, we had 120 plus different voice actors who did at least one part in an episode. So it's been really wild. It is really the people that are here and the community that we have that made all of this possible. So, you know, I just happen to be the person that started this. It has certainly gotten a lot bigger than me. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Brad. But go ahead, Brad, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Brad. I do the voice of Modus, Sergeant Muller, Dr. Schwedis, a raider. There's a few more. I don't remember all of them. There's been quite a few. And next to me.
Hi, I'm Wendy, and I only play one. I'm the Overseer.
Which was such a get, because I remember the first time that I heard your voice, I was like, that's the Overseer. It's like, that's like not even kidding. I mean, it was so spot on to the original that it was incredible to have you. So welcome in.
Awesome. Thank you.
Down here is Krissi.
Hey y'all, I'm Krissi. I play Trader Red and Dr. Williams and oh,
Emily. Don't
Emily.
forget Emily.
No, they always make fun of me. I never can remember who all I play, but I contribute voices where I can. And then I executive producer, I guess. I don't know. I was brought in late 22, maybe early 23. Brad actually suggested me to Lawrence to play Trader Red. And basically, I got a random DM in Discord and I was like, nope, block. And like 2 seconds later, Brad was like, hey, a friend of mine's going to reach out to you about a part. And I was like, oh, shoot. Can you tell him to try again? Which we all love to tell the story about the time I blocked Lawrence. But long story short, fell in love with the story, fell in love with all of it. My ex-husband played Fallout, but I was not a Fallout person. But I immediately started playing the game because, I don't know, I feel like you should know your fandom if you're going to be involved in it. And so I am now level 1000. So I feel like I got the credit to say that I am a genuine 76er, and that was 2 years ago. So that's a pretty good number. But yeah, Trader Red she's my girl. So,
and then we have Dr. Mark, and I always butcher his last name. I really apologize. So I'm just going to call him Dr. Mark.
It's like H Wizard of Osworth. It's easy. Yeah, I primarily play Bitter. I think I also have a smattering of other characters along the way. I tend to just, whenever I'm asked, I do a part. But I came on, oh God, I have no idea. Early on, I think it was pretty early. Certainly not as early as some. I was doing the Chad 76 and then 13 and a couple others. So I came on board for Bitter primarily.
And Bitter is awesome. People love Bitter. The banter between Bitter and Sullivan is something we get comments about all the time. So
it's a great part.
And then down here, we have our resident ghoul trader, Amelia, fire writer, Eugenie. So
Hi.
go ahead.
Let's see, I'm trying to, it feels so long ago now. It's pretty crazy. I was doing my own podcast at the time and we were in Tom's, what was it called?
Oh, we're the Rocket Club.
Yeah. Reached out to see if I wanted to be a ghoul. And of course I wanted to be a ghoul. My God. So that's been a lot of fun. And I'm not nearly as active as I used to be these days, but this is one thing that has really stuck and I've had a really good time doing the entire time.
Cool. All right. And then we go down to AJ as Stein.
Hey there, everyone. Like Lauren said, I play Major Stein. I've done a couple of other random voices on the podcast as well. I do remember the first episode, I was apparently Lilith's lunch. I started with the podcast pretty early on. I remember just being on 76, just roaming around, and I bumped into Lawrence, decided to follow him for a while. And eventually, like, one thing had led to another, but amazing what an elevator pitch can do, huh?
Yeah, given the fact that, and it's just a bit of a trivia, Stein's character didn't exist in the original draft or conception of the MODUS Files. It was really kind of AJ's force of personality introducing the character, and I took it and ran with it. And of course, I got to blow him up, which was even better, which actually was the result of most of the characters I ended up writing, so I ended up killing him. So, but he died well. So
at least you can say that he had an explosive personality.
And then we will go down to Dora.
Hi, yeah, I'm Pandora Beatrix. I mostly had a really minor role in season 2. I think it was a raider called the Blood. I did a couple other things, I think. Sorry, I'm like this. This is who I am as a person, so accept it. But yeah, I was honored and privileged to step into the role of Valeria, taking over for Mandy in the middle of season 1. And it has been a delight since then. I've done a variety of little things here and there. Weasel is my favorite, obviously. But it has been a hell of a ride, and the ride is not over.
Quick interruption. Now that we have Mischief Night back and we're forking the lawn, do you think about Weasel every time you're out there forking?
So I forgot I was gonna mention, because people were giving their cred. So I've played, Fallout 3 and 4 all the way through, and I'm a completionist, so it took forever. But 76, I have it on PlayStation and PC, and I've played here and there, but it was clear to me that it was going to be a major time suck, and I'm a very busy person, right? So my level is, I think, 56 now, because Daddy Todd gave me atoms so that I could get to level 50 to get the thing to become a ghoul for the Wasteland Theater Company. Otherwise, I would still be like 8.
Okay, sorry. Back to the intros, Lawrence.
And with that, we actually go to our rambunctious little carnivore, Lucy.
Hi. Yes, so I think I've been here since the beginning with the very first iteration when I just pitched a voice to Lawrence for Lilith and off we went. But not only I don't just voice her, I also voice Amanda, Cindy's love interest. And yes, who's also on Once Upon a Wasteland podcast. And I also voice the very dead Kathy. So, the ghost that comes back. I'm involved in a lot of different things. I'm in the Chad podcast, obviously Once Upon a Wasteland as well. I'm a part of the theater company that Dora mentioned. So sometimes we cross paths in all sorts of different ways. And then of course, I operate the Fallout 50 new responders. So that's kind of my biggest time job there. But yeah, I enjoy playing a very hungry, rambunctious little carnivore. Is a force of nature. I have enjoyed voicing her and just kind of her changes and her growth over many years and the seasons, and just kind of seeing how much she's changed and kind of her focus has changed as well. And that, she's still hungry though. I mean, that'll never change. So
Absolutely. And then we have Ryan Negrin, who joined us actually at the very end of the first season and became a very important character in the second season, who actually has a very wide repertoire. I didn't quite realize what I was getting myself into until I checked out his IMDb and realized, oh my goodness, wow. And this is the first time I will say that, Ryan, you've had the opportunity to kind of be part of all of this. You have been an integral part of all of this for a very long time. So I'm really happy that people finally get a chance to meet you screen to face, as it were.
Yes, no, thank you. So it's an honor to be a part of the MODUS Files in general and to finally, like you're saying, kind of see everyone's wonderful faces virtually here. Yeah, that was hi. By the way, I'm Ryan Negron. I play the character Day, right hand of the Overseer for a while. But yeah, no, that's funny because I think I remember I had seen it's either on Twitter or Casting Call Club. But I saw it was for background characters for the Battle of the Bog, just like soldiers, and I'd sent it in. And then Lawrence gets it back to me. He's like, "You got a nice voice. Could you like read some lines for this guy?" And I did it, and I didn't really know what that would entail and how long that character would be around. And Day has become one of my favorite characters in any of the like just the media I've ever gotten to voice for. Day is like up there as one of the top. Like I really, really love the series and I love the character. And yeah, I'm a big Fallout head too. I started Fallout 3 when I was in high school, and it's really sweet. That's the only game my mom ever watched me play because she got invested in me exploring the DC ruins. And then I got Point Lookout and Operation Anchorage and all that stuff. So yeah, all that to say, it's very humbling and amazing to be around such amazing voice talent, just amazing people. So thank you for having me.
And then we have Austin Rogers, who is also another veteran of the podcast. Actually, I think you were really early on, Austin. You came in like episode 5 or 6, actually, I think.
Hello everyone. I'm Austin Rogers. I voiced primarily, I think he was a captain at the end, Captain Jones, along with a whole slew of other characters. Yeah, you're right. I can't believe I'm blanking on this right now. I believe Sergeant Miller was my very first role in the Last Day of Appalachia spinoff that we did. I had always wanted to get into voice acting, but I had no idea where to start. I didn't know what casting call was, but I've always had a lot of music equipment. I'm a musician. I'm always recording stuff. And I'd actually been a fan of the show since like the text version. Then I just saw you post a thing on Twitter saying, "Hey, we're looking for some people to voice these minor roles." And I was like, let me get on that. And it's all downhill from there. Yeah, it's been a great time. I love the friendship that I've cultivated with y'all, all their core memories playing online, our countless raids in 76, where I've failed numerous times, but we're not going to talk about that. In terms of Fallout, I'm a pretty late bloomer. I got into Fallout 4 right around when it came out. So I've always been a big fan of military history. So like the whole Cold War, Red Scare kind of vibes that Fallout is like the core themes of, that just spoke to me and it had me interested. I've just always loved the game and it's meant a lot to me. And I love the whole community that I've been welcomed into. I also do a lot of voices with a new cast member of ours, Preston Harden in True Vault Escapades. Shout out to you, Preston. And yeah, about my story.
Awesome. Well, and of course, let's not forget, not only is she hosting this, but she is also a very important character in our podcast. Jess, I'm not going to overlook you. I want you to be able to introduce your particular role in all of this as well.
Appreciate that. Yes. Hi, I'm Jessica Starr. I know many of you in chat, but I don't know all of you. So I discovered the MODUS Files. You know what? Brad probably didn't want anyone to do this, but I'm going to do this. So a lot of times Brad will thank Lawrence for introducing him and getting him started and all this, etc. But I found out about the MODUS Files from being a fan of Once Upon a Wasteland. So I started listening to Brad's stuff and really enjoyed it. And then I brought him on and his friend Lawrence onto a show I did called Appa Tonight, a little Appalachian in-game talk show and all that, and talked to them about their shows. And at that point, I had known Brad and was really excited by the conversation. And Lawrence, I'm like, wow, this is great. So I started dabbling, listening to the MODUS Files a bit, promoting a bit. And after about a year in, it was early second season, Lawrence asked if I would join as Sophia, just kind of as a community member who was really into the show and looking to do such things. And at the time, it was probably going to be a pretty small role, but I said, yeah, absolutely, I will. And obviously she grew and I grew to love it. It's been such a delight working with all these fabulous people. For sure, for sure. As far as what else I do, I'm just, I'm around. I do YouTube, I do Twitch, but you'll mostly find me on the socials at Sleep is for Tea, so good times. So I guess that wraps up the introductions, Lawrence.
Just to kind of preface all of this, I mean, first of all, I'll warn everybody, there will be spoilers.
Yeah, I was going to say, we need to do the warning.
Where there have been things where I've said, hey, there are things I won't discuss. This is the episode. This is where we can be an open book. I want anybody to ask any questions that they want. And also just to let you guys know, the ending that we got to was the original ending that I had planned 5.5 years ago. When I started writing this, I had the end already in mind. I told people that last episode was already written, which was the case. So the last episode, Autumn, that these fine folks got to perform in was the episode I wrote, like I said, like 5 years ago. And so we officially just had our 100th episode with the releasing of a few episodes of the Wasteland Wanderings with Trader Red. But, to say that this started with a broken wall is kind of an old story that I said. This story did actually start with me going back to my camp and finding a wall that was broken, and a player came by and fixed it for me, and we started talking, and that ultimately turned into all of this. And what's great is that original story was very focused on a small number of characters. And as I met AJ and more people kind of came into the podcast, the story grew, but it grew with the end in mind. And the fact that I got to add the Overseer was absolutely fantastic. And then adding Day, and then Bitter and Sullivan, and bringing in Amanda from Once Upon a Wasteland, and, Cindy's character, Maria's character, Cindy, Trader Red. So all of it was just part of this story that just naturally blossomed over time. And I would sit at my computer and I would just type out and I would start writing lines for the characters. And it just flowed, which was absolutely fantastic. And everything was heading to an end point, but it was the journey to get there that became such a wonderful experience. And the fact that I got to see Brad grow and his podcast become so successful, and him expand out into other areas. All of the folks that are on here have all done other things because of some of what they were able to accomplish with the MODUS Files. So for me, seeing everybody else becoming successful through this and finding joy in what they did is also kind of a big second part of why I did all of this. I got to tell a really kick-ass story. You guys made all of that possible. The community made it possible. But at the end of the day, I want to see all of you kind of go off and be doing all of your own really cool things, and being able to look back at the MODUS Files and be like, hey, that was a really great experience. So I'm going to stop soapboxing. And basically, if there's any kind of particular episodes or scenes or thoughts that you guys have as far as the cast go, feel free to just get it out there. And of course, if there's any big questions in the chat that we need to answer to, we're kind of happy to do that.
Excellent. And as chat questions might pop up, I'm going to maybe add them to a list if I catch them, so that I can then try to make sure that we get them in by the end. We said an hour and a half, but we knew it could be as much as 2 hours. Some people may have to leave, but we'll see how it goes. So
bless you for organizing.
Absolutely. Well, let me start with a prompting free-for-all question to kind of get us started. So A lot of our characters had story arcs. We were talking about Days a little bit, and, the Overseer, my goodness, no one expected her to go that direction. But, there was so much to it. So with those story arcs, personal evolution, I'd like to hear from the actors on this. How do you feel your character evolved? And did you have input into that as well? Like, did you help direct that evolution?
Well, I mean, I can talk about a little bit about MODUS. MODUS started off as a pretty standard kind of AI based on who was in the game. But I think that once Lawrence got a feel for how my performance was going to go, I think he modulated that a little bit and allowed me some room to interpret it a little bit differently and kind of branch off in a different direction. That's a sign of a good writer. When you understand who's performing a role and you play to their strengths and you're not beholden to the way that you, in this case, the way that characters portrayed in the game, or even the way that you had a character sort of pictured in your head. So I think that that's one good thing. I said when I signed on, I told Lawrence, I said, I'm not a mimic. I can't do the MODUS voice from the game. That's not what I do. So I said, here's what I want to do. And he said, yeah, that's awesome. And, after that, it was Katie bar the door.
That's true. And actually, Brad did such a great job. And also selecting him as Reynolds, who turned out to be kind of a nice, I won't say counterweight per se, but kind of a juxtaposition of having the MODUS voice and then having this really despicable character that, quite honestly, I was going to kill off a long time ago, but I just got intrigued by the fact that I could keep him around. I thought that was a great arc. And Brad, just the fact that he leans into these characters so well, it made my job as a writer that much easier because I could just put myself in his head, and it was great because I knew what he would do with it.
I think you said you were going to kill off Muller too.
Yeah, there were a lot of people I was going to kill that I ended up not, and I don't regret any of it. Actually, it's kind of funny how little accidents kind of turn characters into bigger things later on. So
the opposite of George R.R. Martin.
Well, actually, I will say, funny that you should bring that up. I have one on him. I finished my story.
I was just going to say
that's true.
That's the key difference. Lawrence actually finishes things
almost as long.
Forever.
I'm curious, AJ, if you want to. Stein, okay, he was a created character, your brainchild that you brought to Lawrence and became part of the story in an arc. But did you know how the story was going to go, or was that all Lawrence? And how much did you direct that?
So, like I said before, a lot of the times that when I did have ideas, I was mostly just random mumbling or just conversation, like in between the game when we were just like venturing out, especially when it was like old 76 where the game was still empty. We were coming up with ideas as the things went along. But like Stein, as he began, was just, it's also kind of funny when you think about it. His first introduction was him running from behind a fake wall, charging Valeria, and then he became this character that everyone knows and loves. I think if I had to describe him as he went on, he was the man behind the looking glass, like the sole survivor of an organization that was in his mind trying to do good. But then after a while, like especially when he got to the arc involving his past and his family through the pact, now I did not know that we were going to go that direction. That was a surprise, and it was really enjoyable to actually have him finally break free from it all and then make something worthwhile in his time that he had left. He felt more like how can I describe it? He felt more like a force that was kind of like the consciousness of like trying to do good, but then later on he became his own person, especially like after his release from Modus's control.
That's awesome. I love seeing that you didn't know, and yet you took who that character was, knowing them so well. And I think we all know our characters really well. Did anyone else have anything about their character arc they wanted to add?
I can jump in for this. It was funny at first when Dave first showed up. It was at the end of season 1, and it's like, watching some power armored soldiers walk into the distance. Like, oh, this guy's like, he's like some like cold hearted assassin. He's like doing something crazy. And then he turns out to not be that. And I really enjoyed, and I just thought that was funny to me because later on he becomes such like, in my mind, like best boy. He's kind of like a little golden retriever in some ways, and then
He's
but that's
so
kind of what.
wholesome.
So he's so wholesome, and that was something that I really. And then when we did the bedtime story, that added so much for me. Oh my gosh, that was like, as an actor, that was like a gold mine of stuff to pull from. And for character arc, it was. If we're talking spoiler stuff, how his relationship with the overseer and what happened with that, it's like his life's been uprooted not once, not twice, but like now 3 times, with first with just the state of the world and being born in the Fallout world, then like his fathers and what happens with them, and then finds a stability in someone he believes is like-minded, and then that gets pulled up by the roots as well. That was something I really got to play with, and I really enjoyed the scripts with that. Those scenes towards the end of the show with the overseer, where it's like, in terms of character arc, is golden retriever, really optimistic, really pure, and really just like, we're gonna save the world, we're gonna rebuild it. My dad's taught me these things, and I want to share them, and the overseer's gonna help me share them. We have the same mindset. And then almost just like that drops out and just kind of leaves him with, what do I have now? The person who was supposed to be my right hand, that kind of was leading me and I was leading her, it's all gone now. So those final scenes we got to have with the overseer and Dave, I got to toy around a lot with the betrayal and kind of like the, you took everything from me. I was trying to get things back, and now I don't have any of that anymore. But it also deals with that found family. That's all, that's what this whole show's about, found family. There's people that are related by blood, and there's people that you find along the way, and, in the wasteland. And it's sad what happened with Day and the Overseer, but he has people now. He found his tribe. Even though at the end he's like, I'm a wasteland wanderer, there's always a tribe he can go back to. So that was kind of a cool little thing throughout. And then seeing him like have like romantic moments, that was always fun to play with those. Just in my mind, I'm like, he's awkward. He doesn't know what he's doing. Like, and it's funny because I got to play a lot of I record a lot of anime, and something that we talk about when I'm recording with the directors is like, no human being goes, and I got to bring those like weird little like anime-isms out in those scenes where he's being awkward in his romance, and that was really fun for me. So Day was a really well-written character. Going through those character arcs with him was a lot of fun, and as an actor, it was like I was at like a buffet, just getting to like play. And Lawrence knows, I'd send him like, I don't know if anybody else did this, but I would send him like 4 or 5 of the same line in a row, just different takes of it, different things I was playing with. And those are all just like, yeah, perfect. Okay, so I thought I was like a psycho for that. Just like, here's like 9 of the same line back to back.
9 might be overkill, but
I try to keep it to 2, but
well, some of those towards the end, I was getting
swear words.
You never know. The 9th one just might be perfect.
Might be better.
Well, there were just some where I just was like, I don't even know. It's the same thing with the anime. Just like a lot of stuff. It's like, we don't hear. I don't hear everyone else. So I'm like, oh my God, but what if they read it like this? But they could have thought it like this. We're all really good actors. So there might be like a way that they read like, well, I need to like prepare for that. So I just had like these different, I definitely try to like tame it towards the end and not
secret audio engineering thing. Like what on the couple of times that I have had to do it, I always start from the end and work backwards because the last take is almost always the best one.
No, I hear that.
It's funny when I edit myself, my first take is usually the one I keep.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same. Yeah, a lot of the time. My goodness. So to send it back to Lawrence, but continue with the topic we're on. Lawrence, on character evolution, one thing that really touched me with the Gare and helped me identify with the character was how you incorporated me and my Fallout 76 character, but also who I am a little bit into the character. It really helped me identify and maybe added weight to the performance. Is that something you did with other characters and actors too?
I think pretty much everybody here will agree. I did not give a lot of direction as far as what my expectations were. I really wanted to give people the freedom to express the characters, like Mark and Bitter, for instance. Dr. Mark. I mean, Bitter is based on a character or based on a person's character that I play with all the time. His name is Panda. And it's so funny because now that when I play with Panda, I hear Bitter's voice almost like an overlay. And that was a character that I just loved because I think I killed Krissi.
I'm this days old that I did not realize that Bitter was Panda.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like
you're right. It is Panda.
Yeah, it is Panda, and Panda's a very good friend of mine. I won't go into details there because he's not here. But no, I mean for all of the voice actors, I gave them a lot of leeway. There were only a very few times where I went back and I said, "Hey, I really need you to do it this way." in general, I think that their voice, your guys' voice, actually helped build those characters. And I tried to be as close to you guys as possible as I was writing for the future. So like Sophia, like having that character develop the way that it did would not have been possible if it hadn't been for you, Jess. You know, Modus would not have been Modus without Brad. And Wendy as the overseer, I mean, really it just blew open the doors of creativity. And I think everybody did a really good job. I will say too that maybe the community doesn't realize this, but none of us were ever in the same room when it came to recording these episodes. So literally it was stitching together every single line as we went on. So it's a very detailed process. Brad recognizes this because he went through the exact same thing. It does make it hard for us, but I also think that you guys made it a lot easier because the lines that you guys submitted, what we had to work with was gold for the most part. There were very few times where there was some maybe technical glitch or whatever, but every single character meant something. There was never a throwaway character in the MODUS Files, ever. Everybody was there for a reason. And actually, I love the fact that later on, characters would come back and they'd be like, oh man, oh, that's why. Like Lucy mentioned Kathy. Kathy's character early on she was scorchified. Like Valeria did that. She did it for what she thought was the right reason, and then all the way at the end, it's one of the ghosts that she has to face. So everything that was in there was all done for a particular reason, and then some of it was comic relief as well. I loved writing Bitter and Sullivan. Red, obviously, being that outside. Actually, the one thing I will also say about Bitter too, one of the reasons why I created that character was that I wanted somebody that wasn't from Appalachia who could be a stand-in for us as the audience, or as actually you guys as the audience, so that he could look at all of this and basically be like, what did I get myself into? Why am I here? So I hope that came out as well.
I was thinking the same thing, like, did it come out? Funny you say that.
Yeah, because that was the thing. And that's why I loved writing it, because it was literally like some random person coming into the story and being like, what, looking around like, is this supposed to be happening? And having to deal with Lilith for the whole Blood Eagle arc. I mean, that was great. So I do want to hear from Lucy, Dora, and Krissi, because, really kind of are three of the biggest characters in the podcast. I definitely want to get some insight from these guys.
I'll jump in. So yeah, what Lawrence is saying about I don't want to use the phrase lack of direction, but like the freedom to explore the characters. When I first did the audition on Casting Call Club to sub in for Valeria, Lawrence did callbacks with me. Basically, we went back and forth, I think like 4 or 5 different times with him, like trying to get me to do the line where Valeria is, going from false warm to ice cold when they were interrogating the person, and then she's going to be like, okay, good, we're done, go kill her, kind of thing. That he just wanted to make real sure that I could do that image that he had vocally in his head. And then I think that was the last direction that Lawrence ever gave me. From then on, it was just like, yep, you've got it. Okay, go now. Which is a privilege and mildly stressful, but but like I trusted Lawrence to ever tell me if I went, in the wrong / weird direction. But I ended up doing a lot of script editing for the show, just because when I get a script, I have to proofread it. It's just, it's a bit of the tism, So if I'm going to do it, I might as well like give the results of that to other people. But then he gave me more and more trust as far as what kind of edits he was willing to accept from me. There was very little editing that these scripts needed. Lawrence did good stuff in the first place, and it was mostly like it was polished and tight and stuff. Most of what I did was just tweaking wording here and there, making things flow a little better, sometimes adding jokes because I'm like that. As far as having control over Valeria's evolution, I mostly didn't. I added like embellishments to a couple of places, like specific scenes expanded, like the one with interrogating the pilot of the vertibird in season 3 that they had captured, the Pact pilot, and then the whole conversation with Lilith and how that ended. Like I put a bunch of meat in there because I wanted to make sure to hit, torture is not actually effective. We have to be smarter than that. But mostly Lawrence just like gave me a lot of advance warning about about the end of the story, right? I think it was March of 2022 when Lawrence told me how Valeria's story was going to end in that way. And so then, like, from then on, I was just sort of connecting the dots from where we were to where we were going to get. And I had that whole image in my head of how the thing was going to go down, and it spurred a couple of creative impulses that we'll get to later, I guess. But Valeria is really just is Lawrence's baby, and I just try to fill her with as much life and realism as possible. But yeah, like mostly I just did it the way it was on the page, because that's the thing about Lawrence's writing. The storytelling is so good that you can just sort of read the scripts and I can hear it in my head how it's supposed to sound. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll just do that then.
I know people are dying to hear from you, Lucy, if you want to jump in on this one.
Yeah, sure. So when I approached Lawrence right at the very beginning, I read over what he gave to me, and I first thought to myself, what kind of a voice would this sort of a character have that is villainous but incredibly smart, chaotic but refined, I think was kind of what I was trying to go for. And the way that I characterize Lilith's voice in the podcast is the very first way that I characterized it to Lawrence. Like, I presented it that way, and there was no change. So from yeah, very bougie. So yeah, for her, it's really been interesting to voice her, especially when I have to kind of do all my recording very late at night, especially when I record for the MODUS Files, because I need a very quiet house to sound the way I do. Her biggest changes, I think, for me, or some of the most interesting points, I feel like was her emotional growth, right? So she starts very much focused on her own kind of agenda and just, eating. Nothing boring, obviously. She doesn't want to be bored. But it was really interesting to have these inserts here and there where you got to see her emotional side, like Valeria, her relationship with Valeria was so unique, and seeing that kind of grow. And then same thing with her relationship with Stein, right? And I'd argue even her relationship with Shadow, that was watching those growth moments. And for her, a lot of the emotion wasn't always realized until the crisis happened, like with the death of Malgus, for example, right? When Bitter and Sullivan were kind of in the situation they were in, when death was looming. So, and then of course at the very end, where she's basically faced with like this absolute loss, which she had to kind of process with the one person who truly understood her beyond, just, oh, she's a really capable killer. So for Lilith, especially towards the end, finally having her hit kind of a growth in that emotional side, and not like weepy emotion, although she certainly cried. It was just a really interesting sort of progression for her, and definitely not boring. So that's been, I think, the biggest thing that was kind of cool to see as I would read through the scripts. And I knew as well where this was going. Lawrence did share with me very early on, like, here's how it's going to go. And I was like, wow, okay, it's gonna hurt at the end. So knowing that, I think it made it easier also for me to kind of slowly build in these inserts of these developments of emotion, like when she lost the girls, when she lost Malgus, like all these different things, and that her anger, as much as her love, like I feel these were much more primarily developed because of this kind of slow burn towards the inevitable end that was coming, without her kind of also losing her devil may care, sort of like, well, at least it won't be a boring death sort of a thing. But yeah, I think for me, that kind of ticking of the emotional growth as much as we can for a character like Lilith was probably the most intriguing part for me.
Is it my turn? Okay. So in my circumstances, I guess it's a little different because I'm in the middle of my arc, right? So at the end of this series, Red loses her beloved Shiny, and the next season is Red's next story. And so I'm in the middle of my arc. And so I can't tell you where Red's going with her arc. I know, but I'm not telling you. And so I've had a lot of input with my character in the sense that, first of all, Lawrence is my best friend and we game pretty much nightly. And I get really excited about characters. I did this with the previous podcast that I was on where like my creator, I would literally like message him daily and be like, but what if they did this? And what if this would happen? And like, would exhaust him to the point where I literally would like help mold the story unintentionally just because I get so excited about the story. And so I have a lot of input with Red's story. And in fact, not to like, it's big spoiler, I guess. The death of Shiny was actually my idea because, and it actually has everything to do with Lilith because we actually hear a lot in our Discord who's stronger, who could kick whose ass better, you know, because we are both. We're both mutated, right? Who's stronger?
Right.
And I was like, there at the end, everyone's dying, right? Lawrence has created this epic ending and everyone's dying. And I was like, with Lilith, she has this devil may care. As long as it's interesting, she doesn't care, right? And even with her arc coming to this end, and now she has Valeria and she does care. With Red, she's this, I mean, she's a monster. She literally can tear people apart and she has a motherfucking death claw. Right. And so like I was like, here's the thing, everybody's dying. We kind of need to take her down a peg. Like she can't go through what's about to happen and keep a death claw. That just doesn't, that's not good narrative. I was like, we need to find a way to make her less badass in this instant. And so, and it was ironically enough, it was the day my dog died. I know it's weird, but I was like, this makes sense to me. And I presented it to Lawrence and he was like, let me sit on it. And he was like, that's actually a really great idea. And so we came up with the idea of how that story should play out. And of course we have what's coming and I love it. I think it is glorious. But yeah, it was the idea like she's so powerful. You cannot, in a good story, you cannot leave somebody so powerful. That's boring. Like that's a boring story. And so I was like, how do you take her down a notch? Because like, I don't have, like, at this point, Red does not have anyone she's attached to other than Shiny. I mean, she loves everybody. Let's be real. She's a mother hen to everybody, which is also a very Krissyism. I do bring a lot of my personality into this character inadvertently. The day I stepped into her shoes, I always joke, I was like, she is me, I am not her kind of thing. But like, there's a very blurry line between the two of us in personality. But yeah, it just didn't make sense to leave her all powerful. And so we needed to take her down a notch. I can't say where we're going with it, but I like where we're going with her. And I think that she is going to have some major growth for the better and worse. And I can't wait to see where that goes. And I hope it goes as well as this. It's a lot of pressure because the first, this series was beautiful and it's amazing and it's over. And I'm like, oh my God, now I have to step into these shoes and hope to God I don't disappoint people because that was so gorgeous. But this man's still writing it. So nothing's changed there. I just have to remind myself that. But yes, Red is absolutely a very lot of me in a lot of that because I do provide a lot of me to her because I just can't help myself.
Lawrence, would it be okay if we went to a couple of chat questions just to fit them in here as well as later?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because we've got a few building up and we've got a kitty joining us. Always good. Okay, so let's go to a couple of quickies first. This is from Grimscourge in chat. I don't know if you saw it, Scald, when it came through, but Scald, when you practiced in the shower, did you say lines Lawrence wrote or did you pretend to be Lilith? Did you say silly lines for the giggles?
Oh my God. So when Discord chat info gets out. No, I would just like have conversations like in her voice because there's a specific cadence to Lilith that's very, very distinct. And so I would essentially just engage in conversations with myself, which probably sounds really weird if you're standing outside my shower. I have a lot of like stuff just memorized because of what I do and like great soliloquies and monologues and stuff. And so just saying those things too in her cadence is really important because it's a distinct cadence and it's especially difficult actually to do that cadence when it's an elevated scene because the cadence is a rolling cadence and trying to still maintain her bougie ways but also being under duress is important. I can't tell you how many times I would struggle the most when I was just given like one word for a line. Like, how many different ways can I say no or yes?
That is such a struggle. That is such a struggle for all of us. The shorter the line, the harder the delivery
Yeah,
sometimes.
it is. It's true. And so sometimes just practicing some short snippets is good. Yeah. But yes, I wouldn't say anything necessarily from the podcast to practice in the shower. It's just because I wouldn't have that stuff memorized, but just random conversations or just reciting a soliloquy or a monologue that I actually know by heart in that same cadence, just to practice.
Awesome. Just to make sure we hear from everybody too, I'm going to interject real quick for Fire. Amelia, I am curious about you. So I'd like you to tell people about, your relationship with ghouls and Fallout and how it felt playing a ghoul with a love story. How did you merge those two? Because that's not something people think about with ghouls very often.
Yeah, that was something that was really, I mean, I love the Fallout TV show because now everybody else is like, ooh, ghouls. I'm like, I know, right?
Your time has come.
But yeah, that, like I said, when Lawrence approached, when I had a kind of a ghoul character that I played on my stream, people could like choose to turn me into a ghoul and I'd start doing the rasp. And I was nodding along with what you were just saying there, Lucy, because that was something that I kind of had to do too, was really kind of warm up into not only the rasp, but kind of the accent that I tried to give her, which was really based on my grandfather, who's from Appalachia. So I was trying to kind of channel him a little bit into that. So I have no idea if I managed to accomplish that or not, but it did make it really challenging. And sometimes I'd have to do like several takes because I could hear that I either like dropped the rasp or the accent went all wonky or something. And there were some really emotional scenes for Eugenie too. I mean, there were scenes that I just straight up cried through, so if you heard me crying, that was me like actually crying, but it also made it very difficult to maintain the rasp and the accent. So there was a lot of going into that. But yeah, it was super cool to not only get to play a ghoul, but to play a love interest too. That's not a opportunity that I really thought that I'd ever get to have. So that made it so special. And I love Jeannie's very much. She's just kind of this unconditional love sort of person. And, even when things are just going to shit all around her, she's like, okay, I trust you. We'll figure it out, and I really like that in her character. And it made her so fun to play. And just, she was somebody who I really liked as a character, which I think made it really, really great to step into her shoes.
Yeah,
every time.
You could sense that. You could sense your affection for the character as well as for Val. And I love what you brought to the role. Just one more listener question for now before we get back to it. This one is from Kevin St. Joe, sending it back to you, Lawrence. Mm-hmm. Lawrence, did you ever experience disappointment or opposition from the cast when they find out about some of these unexpected turns and character arcs that are in your head, but they may not expect? If so, how did you kind of manage that cast actor expectation?
So that's actually a really great question. And luckily the rough spots weren't really that rough. I think once I had a chance to talk to some of the voice actors around what was coming, they would offer feedback. And in most cases, I actually took their feedback and would attempt to try to come to the middle ground. I know that there were certain character deaths that I know that were not, I don't want to say expected per se, but I think that people, they love their characters, and when their characters die, it's difficult. And this is me not looking at Austin right now.
Freaking Assaultron.
I mean, but I think too that's when you're a part of this kind of collaboration, it is important for the writer has a vision, but I think there also needs to be some flexibility there. So there were times I changed my mind, and I think actually when I changed my mind and rewrote scenes, it turned out to be better. I think that there were certain times, and there were a few certain situations where we really went different. I mean, and actually, spoiler alert, Weasel was supposed to die and Jameson was supposed to die. I had actually plotted those deaths. Those two characters were going to die. Because of a situation that occurred, I had to rewrite everything. And I would actually say that because of that, that turned out to be a much better way of dealing with that arc than what I had intended originally. So I would say that as long as you keep an open mind and you write the characters honestly and you take into account what people say, you can get through those. And I think that's the hallmark, I think, of a great director, is that they are willing to be wrong, because I'm not always right. And I wanted to stay true to the vision, but there were times when the vision changed, and I'm very happy with the result.
Can I jump in and respond to that for a second? Because of the weasel thing, that it's like, because the original, how Lawrence had originally like plotted that out, it was really poignant, and like I was kind of looking forward to it, right? But the way that it ended up, it actually works a lot better with kind of like a recurring theme of the show, which is that, you know, there are a lot of people on the show, a lot of characters who are genuinely problematic people, right? Who make not okay decisions. But when those people get people in their lives who are genuinely good people, and who basically who stay with them and just try to pull them in the right direction, that actually happens. And like, that's, especially these days, it's a pretty important message that, you know, the only way that we can get to a better place is by not giving up on people.
And I do want to say something about Austin's character Jones, because his character was introduced having to deal with the insult bot, which was, well, I mean, also, you know, you did the last days of Appalachia, but I mean, Jones as a character, I thought, was a great way to show the rank and file. And if you look at the arc of his character, you know, he really kind of starts out as this rank and file guy, and then the West Tech thing happens, and he ends up having to step into shoes of leadership. And you see this growth of the character, which I think Austin did an awesome job on. In fact, the battle at Emmett Mountain, which I think is one of the highlights of second season, is definitely something where, you know, he showed what he could be. And when it came down to how I wanted that character to end, it was not that I didn't like the character, not that I didn't want him to live, but, you know, him volunteering to go on that mission with Valeria, all of them pretty much knew how that was going to end. He was there because that's where he knew he needed to be. And that's when, you know, there were times where I have cried writing some of these scripts, because I don't want these characters to go. I do want to keep them going, but at the same time, plot armor only goes so far, and I want things to be as realistic as possible, except for, you know, Valeria surviving a nuclear explosion at Ground Zero.
There was a fridge.
There was a fridge.
Okay, Billy.
I can't. I swear.
Like a punky Brewster fridge.
People don't know Jones actually hid under a desk. The plasma grenade didn't vaporize him.
So for the Fallout fans out there, I just want to ask, for those of you who hear about surviving a nuke in a fridge, what's the first thing you think of? Do you think of Indiana Jones like a normal human? Or do you think of Billy Kid in a Fridge from Fallout 4? Or do you think of Wild Wasteland Easter egg in Fallout New Vegas? Just curious, what level of Fallout fan are you out there?
Honestly, all of them kind of come to me, because I think the Kid in the Fridge was my first exposure to that. Then I saw Indiana Jones, like, oh, okay, now I get it. Honestly, all three of those just come to me at the same time whenever I think about it. I'm thinking just about the head trauma I'm gonna get if I'm in a freaking refrigerator.
So the whole refrigerator thing, if I could step in, I was when I was playing Fallout New Vegas, because that was my first Fallout game, and then I had Wild Wasteland on, and then I noticed like a skeleton inside a refrigerator. I didn't get the reference. I had to go to the wiki to realize what that was, and then watch Indiana Jones all over again, because that movie in particular was a fever dream.
So I'm going to ask a question to these folks. So we had what I thought was, I mean, obviously we were telling a story from the perspective of people that would be at best morally gray. And, you know, the Enclave is considered to be the villains. And it's one of the reasons why I wrote the story that I did. But then we had some really vile villains that came up as part of the show. Obviously, we had the director, Evelyn Hornwright. We had Dr. Blackburn. We had Dr. Cardoza. The Overseer took a turn to be a villain. In the opinion of the cast, who do you think the best villains were? Like if you were going to pick one, who was like the person that you were like, wow, I really like that person is like, wow, I punched met them in real life.
Before we answer that, what the hell did Reynolds do? Like, if I knew, it was so long ago.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell that story in
The
a
Flatwood
very
story?
very non thing. So
non-graphic.
yeah, Reynolds and a few of the people from the airport went down to Flatwoods with an individual, and things happened. Valeria found out what happened, and that was what she was holding over his head the entire time.
Yeah.
It was a female person.
Yeah, I got that subtext.
So.
Yeah. And
A
letting
Hornwright,
him
though.
live, whereas the others didn't make it quite so long, you know?
No, correct. In fact, Reynolds was the last one left of everybody else. I think one person was assigned to an observation post at Fisher Site Prime. He didn't last very long. Lilith got a couple of the other ones too. So
I like how you just kind of like made your way through them. You know, they all got their comeuppance. No one escapes.
I put in chat, like, the name of the game really is who hasn't had a character actually been killed and eaten by Lilith, because that was like a running joke. Like oh, how many times has Lilith killed one of your voiced characters?
Yeah, I think we do that in the Discord every now and then. Everybody like it pops up and they're like,
Yeah.
I was eaten by Lilith. I was eaten by Lilith. I think I'm probably one of the few.
I think so.
Yeah, I think
Did
three, too.
Lilith eat the blood? I don't remember, because if it wasn't that, then I don't think I had one. But I didn't have a lot of side rolls.
Okay, just so we know, an ad break is going to be happening for people who aren't subscribed right now. So we keep the conversation going. Not everybody can hear, unfortunately, but they'll be able to hear the podcast and video version as well.
We'll just talk bullshit, right?
What ad it's gonna be. Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday.
Oh God, please no. I have seen too many videos.
I'm getting,
with that.
what is it, Ghost of Yamato?
So fun fact.
I'm getting Red Bull.
I'm getting Uncrustables.
Reynolds'
an
voice.
Uncrustables ad.
For Reynolds' voice, I channeled Tony Randall. That's,
Tony Randall, really?
That was my voice inspiration. I don't know why I picked Tony Randall, but I just thought that it would be that.
I can see that.
A little bit of a, I mean, almost not exactly twee, but that sort of uptight,
Yeah,
kind of vibe.
Anal.
Yeah.
Well,
I was in the grocery store when I heard that episode. I was like, oh, what have I gotten myself into?
Brad, what did you do?
So actually, even though he didn't get eaten, Brad actually did get killed by Lucy, because Brad plays Lucius Alistair, Dr. Lucius Alistair, and Lilith blew him up.
Oopsies. Not really.
Oh yeah. In that case, yeah, Lilith killed me, but she didn't eat me. She just blew up the security guard I played.
It's like, how many people have she killed
Ouch.
slashed eaten?
Dead
I
is
thought
dead.
I was safe.
When it comes to Lilith, you can actually consider that one of her greatest insults, that you are not worthy of being eaten.
Well,
Hey,
the
don't
one
say that about Jones.
The one scene that I get that people do actually still say gives them chills is Lilith and Bobby Stoller in the Morgantown High School. Like, that is the one that people are like, either I can't listen to it again, or they're like, every time I listen to it, it sends a cold chill up my spine.
Oh, that was his name, Bobby.
Yeah, I think it's because she explained what she was doing in addition to any like narration was added. Like, it was very dark. I've done this to you, and
It's
you know,
pretty
this
visceral.
is why you can't. Yeah, it was very visceral. I definitely, when I was recording it, I was like, oh, because it was one of the first things. It's like, damn, this character does. Yeah, all right. Well, I'll
actually,
embrace it.
Actually, ironically enough, Lucy was the one talking about kind of opposition to a character. There was a scene that I wrote that we talked it through and ended up cutting it out of that episode. If people thought Bobby Stoller was dark, there was actually a much darker scene that went along with that episode as well, that ended up on the cutting room floor.
Ooh.
So
Yes. Yeah. And I appreciated that, like, just kind of like talking that through, because I think that's important, especially when just kind of, especially starting something out, and like, how do we want this? What's the pacing? How do we want it to feel versus, you know, is it needed, or does it
gratuitous?
Does it go beyond? And yeah, I really appreciated that ability, Lawrence, to kind of have that dialogue with you about it, because I think that's important.
it is. I mean, and I think you're right. And that was really early on. And I think we were still getting our feet under us as far as like how the characters were going to develop. Interestingly enough, I don't know if anybody knows, this whole thing was written without notes, without an outline. Like after that first season, like I even didn't have any, like I didn't have any reference material either. So every single episode was literally written stream of consciousness right onto my laptop. So I would sit down at the laptop and I would just start writing. And I had kind of an idea in my head of what I wanted to happen in that episode. But even today, besides the fact that I printed out all the scripts and they're in binders, there's nothing else. Like there aren't show notes, there's nothing. Everything literally came out of here. So I had to also make sure that everything was consistent and that it didn't screw up and be like, oh, what was that character's name? Oh man, I accidentally named a character something I shouldn't have. So I kind of have to chalk that up to, man, my tism is pretty powerful when it comes to stuff like that. Like I should be one of the people who can actually try to keep what the show's consistent,
Yes.
like the consistency of the shows.
Continuity coordinator.
Continuity coordinator. That's what it is.
I've had that job.
So that's definitely a bit crazy. But any more questions from the audience?
They have a couple set up, but I think what I want to do is get some questions from some cast members who asked in chat. Let's verbalize, folks, if you remember what you asked. So let's start with Mark. Do you remember what you asked for the editors?
I did. I mean, honestly, just recording it, I kind of would say something and I realized like, oh, there's someone who's going to hear that after I've said that. Lots of swearing, lots of noises. I just kind of want to know what the favorite blooper that obviously wasn't intended to go into it, but the favorite unintended sounds or bloopers were in the editing floor.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I love this actually. There are a number of you that don't edit. And oh my goodness, Mark, I really appreciated your constant like, why the fuck did I say that? Or or it's that, God damn it, that fucking, just that like that was actually such a reprieve because literally I would be sitting at a computer and like for 6 straight hours doing nothing but just putting lines in, and just hearing that was brilliant. And I would say that pretty much every time you would send me lines, I'd always kind of look forward to, well, when is he going to get frustrated? And I could usually see it as I'm looking at the lines. They would be like, oh, this is good. This is good. And all of a sudden it would go like this. And I'd be like, oh, I got to listen to that. That is fantastic. But no, there have been a couple. People have also left messages. That's the thing too. There have been people who have left messages when they've recorded their lines. So I listen to everything. And some of the stuff that you guys have said has been very heartfelt, sometimes very funny, but it's certainly appreciated. Because most people don't know that it takes between 40 and 80 hours to get one of these episodes done. It's not short at all, no. Especially some of those last ones where we were running into like 2.5 hour run times.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of work, and you guys make it a lot easier just from the fact that, you're not perfect. And when I have to go in and I have to listen to that, I'm like, you know what? You should hear my narration. Oh my goodness. Like the number of times that I've thrown my computer out the window. None of that, like all that, I re-record it. I don't save any of it, but yeah.
Every time he edits, he'd bitch at me and he'd be like, so many lines, Krissi, so many lines. Why do I do this to myself every time? So many lines. So we both have shirts that say so many lines and then MODUS Files on the back, because like every time he would edit, I would get the same text or call or whatever. It'd just be like so many lines. Some of those heartfelt messages at the end, especially right at the end of the season, as everybody was realizing that their characters were done or that it was coming to a close. Oh my gosh, some of you guys like brought us to tears. They were so sweet. And I wasn't even prepared to realize that we were there at the end. And then like Ryan, you sent one that was so sweet. And like, it was like, oh my gosh, these people, like, you guys don't understand this community that we have built with this show is what this show is this community. And like y'all's hearts show in these moments.
Oh,
but for me, the blooper is the growl that was heard around the world.
Growl. Yeah. The best one. You have to tell that story.
So there's a scene where I don't even remember who I'm killing.
Dr. Cardoza.
Is it Dr. I finally get to kill Dr. Cardoza, who of course makes Red who she is, right? And she's like going full visceral and she's growling. And so I had to record a bunch because I didn't know how much he wanted. He was like, just make noises. And so I'm like, I'm in my booth and I'm just growling, snarling, and I'm just recording. I'm hot because it's summer. My booth is like a 3x3 closet in my attic, and I live in the South, so it's hot as Hades. I'm sweating, I'm growling, and I'm like, finally, I just go growl. Literally just like that. Just to fuck around. I'm like, I'm snarling, and I'm like, just all that visceral noise, and I'm just like, growl. And then I send it off to be edited, and we had somebody else helping us edit at the time, and they didn't edit it out. And so the episode went live, and I'm listening, and I hear the growl, and I was like, oh my God, wait. Did you not edit this out? And so like for about 30 minutes, people got to hear the growl. And then immediately we pulled it down, edited it out, but it's out there. Like people got to hear it. So for Patreons, I think get to hear it. But yeah, it's just Krissi going growl. That's it. That's the one blooper. Because I usually cut mine out. I edit before I send it to Lawrence just to save him time. I have said words wrong, and he'll be like, "What was it? I called the director. What did I call her? It was Hornwright, and I just kept calling her the wrong thing, like over and over and over again. And then there was something else, like mechanic versus something else, and like I just read it wrong, and I just kept reading it wrong. He's like, Krissi, you have to take this line again. You just totally said the wrong word over and over again. I was like, did I?
Yeah.
Well, fine. I'll record it again.
I think you actually kept calling the mechanic a doctor.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Well, actually, it's funny. So first of all, I can't even count the number of times that Appalachia, like literally, I don't think there's a consistency across any of the episodes as far as what it's actually called. Also, funny enough, and this is just for Dr. Mark, it's Valeria. Because, oh my goodness, like, yeah, that was one that didn't come out very well. It was, I don't even remember what you said, but it wasn't Valeria. Oh, no,
Valeria.
Valeria. Yes, a lot of Valerias.
I think to add on to that, when Sophia was going to become more and more of like a prominent character in it, Stein kept on like calling her DeGary instead of DeGare, and it was just became like a running joke that he can't pronounce her name.
I had to put my here's the thing, like, I can totally appreciate though what all of you have to go through, because when I realize what I wrote and that I have to say this, I look at my narration and I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Like, what am I even trying to say here?
The masochism is strong for y'all with those lines. So many lines.
What was Brian going to say?
I had to put my foot down with Sergeant Muller because there were 47 different pronunciations and I didn't know which one to use. And I was just like, okay, listen, I'm going to pick one.
Yeah.
And we're going to use that one because otherwise that's going to really break the
like the Onai versus the Oni, or
on that. Oh god,
we call them colloquialisms, guys. Like, you know,
Lawrence,
what? Just lean into it.
Lawrence put the phonetic pronunciation of Onai into so many scripts, so many lines.
I never saw the phonetics, so that's not bad.
I didn't either. Kept doing it. Eventually, you have to give up.
It happens. It happens with our games too. Playing the actual Fallout games, almost all of them have diversity of pronunciation or who the voice director is. And, you know, there's legions of people, literally the Legion saying Caesar out there or Caesar. Like they had no idea what's going on. Anyway, awesome.
This is what happens when they don't have a pronunciation Bible.
Like I said, we just call them colloquial. Like, you're like, it's just local. That's how they pronounce it versus them. It's fine. Don't you worry about none.
The reason that you don't really ever hear any bloopers when I send my lines in is because my bloopers are really boring. Because if I screw up a line when I'm recording, it's just like, God damn it, Brad.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Like, come on, Brad.
I just sigh heavily.
I do a lot of
and then delete.
On the topic of mispronunciation, if you go into New Vegas and you do the whole stuff in Helios 1, the NCR tech that's there, he says, you know, a lot of this stuff reminds me of Enclave technology. He didn't say Enclave, he says Enclave. And I don't know, every time I hear that, it just makes me cringe. Like,
that's the new Enclave. See, they keep changing.
Well, wait till you meet the Exclave. They're awful.
That's the thing, like video game recording, especially because of all the secrecy, they literally just give you the lines, right? With like no context. You're lucky if you get a stage direction.
I just finished recording for one, and it was literally that. Just was like, here's a spreadsheet. I was like, so what's the context? They're like,
I think
It's like,
actually
you're the
on the
director. What do you mean you don't know what's happening?
Do your best.
if you
It's like, yes, it's like CCC. Say what you say what you think would fit.
I did an entire audiobook and said
Oh,
wheelies,
God.
and it was wellies, and I had to go back and edit the entire thing.
That's
Oh.
brutal. Audiobooks are brutal.
So, continuing the cast listener questions, Brad, you had a question too that you wanted to ask Lucy. Do you remember what that was?
I do. So, Lucy,
Yes.
how do you approach playing the same character in two different shows that have wildly different tones?
Oh my gosh. I try to, oh man. Well,
Good question.
yeah, like heavy alcohol. No. So I try to do Amanda first. If I know that both Amanda and Lilith are in an episode, I do Amanda first because she's closer to my natural voice than obviously Lilith is by a long shot. So I usually record her lines first, and I just kind of focus in on everything that I kind of, discovered about her through Once Upon a Wasteland, the kind of a character that she is, the former raider, you know, takes no shit from anyone. And when she's committed, to a cause, she's like committed to a cause, especially when Cindy's involved, because that's kind of her guiding light, I guess, is the best way to kind of think about it. And so just kind of leaning into, okay, everything she's doing is doing because she believes so much in the person that has believed in her so much. And so I always kind of lead with her. And then I usually take like a beat, like, some time. If I'm trying to do them both in the same night, I'll try to take like 10, 15 minutes just to kind of like switch, because Lilith is so much darker. They both are, obviously they have their own penchants for like handling justice, right? So, but I save Lilith for later because I want to just kind of slide into that distinct cadence where Amanda's kind of upbeat and, okay, well, if this is what you want to do, then I'm all for it. So I try to do them separately with enough of a rest between them, because I do have to mentally kind of shift because their motivations are very different. And so that is important to me, because if the motivation isn't kind of conveyed on why they're doing what they're doing, then it's just me reading a line. It's not actually Amanda kind of embracing, okay, I've thrown in with Cindy and everything that she stands for, not because of obligation, but because she believes so passionately in this and she believes so passionately in me. So it's great to have somebody that I have a healthy, passionate relationship with, and I want to kind of foster that. Whereas whereas Lilith is just not that way. That's just not her motivation. And so it takes a minute to kind of switch gears, I think, mentally for me as well.
When you did Amanda in MODUS Files versus doing Amanda in Once Upon a Wasteland, did you actually approach it differently?
When Amanda started appearing in MODUS Files, much of the story was tailing down within Once Upon a Wasteland. So I kind of knew her progression. So where she starts in Once Upon a Wasteland, as kind of this complicated third wheel, but not really a third wheel. This other person in the story who is just like, well, don't look in the basement, right? So this idea of, her being kind of scrappy and focused on kind of supporting Beth and Odessa and their kind of situation in Once Upon a Wasteland. By the time she was appearing in MODUS Files, her relationship with Cindy was definitely cemented. It was there. And so she had already kind of become that much more mature, invested partner versus that growth that was happening in Once Upon a Wasteland. So I did kind of think about them differently. Like the Amanda that I was playing in Once Upon a Wasteland was one that had to kind of grow and develop and kind of realize that maybe she shouldn't just be hanging out in the spider's web all this time, and maybe the Raider's life really wasn't something she wanted anymore. Versus in MODUS Files, she's already made that decision. She's already moved on. She's looking towards the future. So it becomes that much easier for at the end when she's like the Stein and Dine. Like it makes so much more sense for her at that point, because she's in that growth position in the MODUS Files.
So I'm going to take a quick pause real quick. I am going to change our backdrop slightly. Just give me one quick second and we'll be right back. I am switching it now to Funko Pops because we've had a lot of Funkos created of our characters too. A lot of them for people here on the cast today. I'm going across for those in case you don't have the stream up right now. We have Bitter. We've got Sophia. We've got the Overseer, who I was really happy to see make an appearance tonight. We've got Modus, too. We've got Lilith, Stein, OG Stein. We have slightly older old man Stein as a Funko Pop, too. We got 2 of them. And then we've got, obviously, Val. And we've got Red and Eugenie. So, yeah. Oh, you've got her with you. That's amazing. Bitter too. You got Jones. I love it, Jones. I'm sorry I didn't have a copy of yours to add to the overlay.
I see how it is. I'm just kidding.
Trust me, I scoured the Discord for ones I couldn't find.
This hurts more than that Assaultron blade.
Well, I mean, the cool thing is, and I did keep a few of these for myself because I got doubles done. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. And yeah, and like I said, there'll be more coming.
That was legitimately one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me was receiving the
Funkos.
Pop.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
Well,
my Funko is right next to our Signal Award. Like it's just right on the mantle.
Yeah, I keep the Funko Pop and my awards on a little shelf between my guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, actually, it's interesting you were talking about character development. And I like to think that we had a bunch of characters that over time assumed positions of leadership that they were never prepared for or they never wanted. And they were kind of forced to make those decisions. I mean, Valeria is probably the best example of that, even though she wanted it, but she didn't know what she was getting herself into. Amanda's kind of the same way. She suddenly found herself in charge of all these Foundation refugees. And it's like, what does she do? You know, Sophia, the woman that falls from the heavens and ends up with this relationship with Stein. You know, Red coming in, Bitter and Sullivan kind of having to deal with all of these things. It really, to me, it was this idea that in a chaotic world, people rise or they fall, depending upon kind of how they act and what's actually inside of them. And I think even that was exemplified by Day as a character who was, you know, somebody who in any other podcast probably would have been the protagonist. Like he would have been the main character. And instead, here's this naive but idealistic character who is suddenly on the wrong side, and how does that person deal with it? So I mean, if you look at all of these different stories on how they came together and the characters, it really was kind of my attempt to subvert expectations, but also as just a character study. Here's a large group of people that are faced with an impossible situation, and how does that change them over time? And actually, like I said at the beginning, the words were just words on a page until people stepped up and actually started voicing them and turned into these characters. So everybody developed the way that they did. And it wasn't just what I wrote. It was what everybody else contributed to make this the way that it was. And the great thing is that even though it ended, it's not over. And I don't want anybody to think that the MODUS Files isn't going to continue on. Obviously, we're going to work on a season 4. There's actually a bedtime story for Shadow that will be coming out soon as well. But even though we did the epilogue and many of the characters kind of said what happened to them, that does not mean that these characters won't be coming back in some form or fashion, should people desire to. You know, it's possible that voice actors end up going other directions or whatever. But I always want to be able to let people know that if you want your character to continue, if you want to continue to voice your character, everyone here and everyone I've ever worked with is always welcome, because that's what we are. And that's what the MODUS Files has always been. And I will say, adding the fact that Modus came back at the end I really wanted to stick that to the community. I was like, you know what? You're not getting away from them that easy. He's potentially always out there.
Wait,
you never
Lawrence,
know where you're going to run into Modus.
Easily?
Huh?
Easily?
Well, okay. Easily blow up the entire region. That was kind of easy, right?
God, yeah, that was a softball.
We were also gaming, and I was like, you know, it'd be really cool is if we all of a sudden there's like, it all blows up and da 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 da. I was like, and then you hear a beep. And he's like, wait.
Oh dear.
And then it was the whole thing.
Oh, I know exactly where, and I know exactly where I was at that point. Like I can identify the exact moment that I decided that was going to happen. But again, you know, the way things ended, I think that there were some great endings for some characters. Some characters, it was ambiguous about what was going to happen to them as well. I really wanted to do that New Vegas style ending with the epilogues because I thought that was really important for the characters to be able to speak in their own voice as to kind of what their future was going to be.
That's
As long
one
as
of the
there's
coolest
food.
things ever. Oh, sorry.
Nope, just saying. As long as there's food, Lilith is happy.
I think Modus should take over the body of Cobby in Burning Springs.
Ooh.
Well, some of us haven't met Kavi yet, but yeah, let's go, Modus. That would be awesome.
Cobby is watching always.
We love our characters, from what you're saying. I know we all do. Obviously, you love our characters, and that shows in the way you write them, the way you just talked about them, in the way you jump in and you've created these Funkos and these Hero Forge minis. Like, a lot of these are from your brain, too, springing just like the characters themselves. Obviously, our chat loves the characters, and many of the actors are in there, DJ and Silly or stuff like that, talking about how much they enjoy and love them. That just shows, I feel it from everyone here. Lawrence, what inspired you to make these Funkos, make these Hero Forge minis? How does that kind of express how you feel about the characters?
So the Modus Files is a labor of love. I wanted to tell a story, and I've done that, but I didn't do it alone. And all of you have volunteered hours of your time, countless hours of your time, whether it's providing voices, whether it's helping to edit, whether it's just helping as part of the community, helping us out on socials. None of you are paid. And for me, one, I don't view this as a money-making operation. In fact, I've probably spent, well, Lord knows, on putting it all together. Giving something back to my voice actors, something that you guys can have, was something that I was like, I have to do something, whether it was making sure that you guys got copies, statuettes of the awards that we won. But having a physical representation of your character was what I could give back. There's only so much that I can do, but it's an absolute pleasure to me to give something to all of you in recognition of what you've done for me. This has changed my life. I've met people and done things that I never would have thought possible before. And if I can give you all a small token of my appreciation, that's exactly what I'm going to do. It's important to me because of what you've done. And if I could give you all $1 million, I would write the check tomorrow because that's what you mean to me. You are my family. Now you're going to make me cry.
Oh,
but this is what I can do and what I wanted to do, because at the end of the day, you are all my characters and you deserve the world, and I will give you what I can because of what you've given me.
We all love our characters, and we feel the same. And that I could never even call them just tokens of appreciation. It's like they have a place of honor in my house and in my life. And I love that.
Also, like I said, if you look behind me, the art that I have on my wall is actually been influenced by all of you. These characters might be in my head, but when I think of the characters, I think of all of you. So, what I've done is really just a representation of that. This is my safe space, because this is not just me, but this is literally everybody. This is all of you. And this is what, really keeps me going at the end of the day. When I have a bad day and I'm here and I can sit down and I can write, it makes me feel better. And it makes me feel better knowing that all of you are out there as well. I mean, not just the voice actors, but the community that we have has just been, incredible. It's awesome. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for me. And I'm hoping that all of you feel the same way, that you're proud of the work that you've all done, because I don't think this is anything that anybody would have ever expected. Our episodes are so long. I think if you actually broke them down to like half-hour chunks, we'd have like 2 million streams at this point. But I can't write small.
Yeah, I said them all the
2.5
time.
hours long.
Go big or go broke.
But I mean, that's incredible. If you think about it, we are a niche podcast in a niche IP with a story that's not necessarily like, this isn't like Hollywood type stuff, but people love this. We have people that sit down, and they're long haul truckers that will stand, they'll be 8 hours and all they'll do is they'll put in the podcast and they'll listen to it. I mean, that shows the love that people have for what we've done. And that is something that will always be remembered, because it will always be out there. The MODUS Files is a thing, and people know who we are. In fact, I think even Dora was telling me that she was at a con and had somebody come up to her and ask her if she was Colonel Valeria.
It ruined me, right? Because like that was one of my long-term voice acting goals. And it happened almost immediately. like because of the MODUS Files, which I'm very grateful for. It was a bizarre and surreal experience to be recognized from somebody hearing me talk.
And the artist Nobody was on a plane from Florida to like Arizona, and the woman next to him was listening to a podcast, and he happened to glance over, and she was listening to the MODUS Files.
Oh,
insane!
And that's crazy. The other thing I'll say, and I'll leave it with this, and I'll get off my soapbox here, but one of the most interesting, I think, developments that happened in the MODUS Files, Commander Johns, who just happens to be Lucy's husband, became an extremely important part of the MODUS Files. Never intended that to happen. And he actually told me that when he read his little epilogue at the end, that he actually cried because it was an ending to his character that I don't think he had ever really thought about. But it was just another example of a character and a person that kind of entered into our community who became part of it in a way that I don't think anybody ever expected. And I think that goes to a ton of our voice actors, and even somebody that might have had only one minor role in what we've done. They're all now part of this, and they've all contributed to something very special.
Gosh, Lawrence.
Yeah.
Thanks for not telling a boring story.
I can speak towards how important you guys are as our voice actors. Like, casting is impossible. Like, especially as we got towards the end, because we have so many wonderful people, and anytime we came up with something new, it's like, oh my God, who do we give this to? Because like everybody has so many roles. We've only had to recast a handful of times. And in those times, it was so painful because like having to replace anybody was a nightmare. Like, not because, oh my God, we have to go through this process, but because losing someone was painful. Like, this is a family to us. Like, this community is special. Everyone brought themselves into every role in such a viscerally intimate way, and it showed with everybody's performance, even the little tiny ones. Like, I had people, they'd be like, oh, let me do a role, and I'd be like, okay, so we have this little tiny, they have 3 lines, who could we give it to? And I'm like, I'm gonna give it to this person in our Discord because they're just so enthusiastic about being in the Discord. Are you okay with that? And he's like, yeah, I'm okay with that, because that's who I wanted to give it to. Like, I give it to a voice actor on CCC, and that's cool, but it meant more to us to give it to someone in our community who felt part of this thing that he's created, right? And that was really important to us. And like that's just really special. And so we don't ever want to have to recast. Like, we don't ever want to lose any of you, but life gets in the way, and we understand that. And like, but understand, like, if you gotta go, it's gonna be sad and nobody wants it to happen. That's just how integral everybody is to, like, everybody. When I see your faces, when I hear your voices, I see you with those characters because they are you. You are not them.
If I may, Lawrence, one of the things that I said several times, so you've heard me say this before, is there's no me without you. Because obviously you were the one who encouraged me to flesh out Beth's backstory, and then eventually encouraged me to start my own podcast. So everything that I've accomplished in that time is because you recognize something in me and in my writing and all that kind of other stuff, I guess, that goes into it. That you were that encouraging force. And there were a lot of times when I was going to quit, or I was just not going to start, or whatever, and you wouldn't let me do it. So your impact goes beyond just, what you do for the voice actors. And you talk about you never expected everything that's happened to happen. I remember just basically my goals were kind of hilarious in retrospect compared to what I've accomplished since then, because I thought I was aiming higher than I possibly could ever accomplish, but I blew all that out of the water. And you are one of the primary driving forces behind that. So you don't sell yourself short in terms of the impact that you have, even outside of casting people and, allowing them to explore their skills as a voice actor or any of that kind of thing.
Well, it has been, Brad, it has been a journey, and it's been a pleasure. And I know that we are getting kind of to the end. I know that we're pushing 2 hours, so I don't necessarily want to outlast my episodes. But the last thing I will say is that as a writing partner originally and as being able to participate with stuff that Brad has done. There is no Modus Files without Modus, and Brad will always be Modus. There's nothing in this world that would ever change that. So
Absolutely.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
we've got maybe 10 minutes, but we do have to start to wrap, as you said. And that's such a good ending. I feel like we should close there. But I did have like a very first listener question that came in that I was saving for the end. So maybe we can just ask this real quick. Elizabeth in chat, a big supporter of ours, asked, what are people's favorite lines? Like, do you have a favorite line you remember from your character? Now, not everyone has to have one if you don't, necessarily remember. There have been a lot of them, as we say, so many lines. But do people have a favorite? I will start. I will just start with mine real quick. My favorite line is the one I use most often. In fact, I believe it's in about 50% of my lines, and that would be Andrew.
Oh God, there are a few. I would definitely say during the Battle of the Bog, Lilith, get out of the tank is definitely one of them.
That's awesome.
I think another one, and this is a complete bias, I don't have any regrets on this one. It's the Christmas episode when Stein questions what the difference is between a violin and a viola is.
That's brilliant. Anybody else have a favorite line?
I know
Mark?
mine. So it was one of the more recent ones, but it was one of the few times that Modus got mad. And I know that some people have called it out, so they noticed it. It was subtle, but Modus just says, unacceptable. Unacceptable.
I like that one too, yeah.
Unacceptable. I love that.
I
love
can just hear
that.
lemon grab right now.
I just clenched my jaw and said, unacceptable. I loved being able to do that because Modus is always so measured in the way that he delivers everything. The ability to subtly do something like that was a lot of fun. But I like subtle things like that.
Well, mine's easy. It's darling. I mean, I use it all the time now. I mean, everywhere I go to restaurants, I'm just darling. It diffuses people really easy. I realize where I'm like, well, thank you, darling. And like immediately they're like, oh, well, that's great. But it's also, Shawnee, don't eat people. Like, but like darling. Yeah, I just use darling all the time now. I never used it before, but it is totally 100% in my vernacular now. So
I think it's infected a lot of us. I think some listeners, I use darling at least 100% more than I used to. Yeah, at least double.
I was thinking all the
Fuck you, Sullivan.
He found it. He found the one. Yep. Fire, what was yours?
I was going to say all the different variations on Val, which ranged from loving to exasperated to screamed to cried to everyone. There was at least one version of Val.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I've said way too many lines in the show to even remember all of them, so picking one is impossible. But every time that I said Jeannie, like in that, because she's making me be an actual girl, it was just, it filled my heart, Grinch style.
I think for me, it's a ton of lines, but it's the final epilogue. I've been playing Fallout, God, like I said, since I was like a freshman in high school. And to say, like, just to have that epilogue, I think was one of the coolest things in my life as an actor and as a fan of the series, as a fan of Fallout. So, like, and that was hard. That final epilogue was hard because I was on the verge of tears reading it. And then I realized I didn't record it, so I had to re-record it.
Oh, that hurts.
No.
So I'm like, all right,
Swear words.
back at it again, But for me, it's that epilogue. So yeah, because I mean, they're just really cool. Like, come on, it's a
They
Fallout
were
epilogue.
so good.
War never changes.
They were all real good.
They were so good.
I think for Lilith, I think it would probably be a toss up between her saying, talking about her hunger, always I'm still so hungry. Always that whine. But aside from her boring and hungry lines, I do think one of my favorites, and it was a series of lines, it's when she essentially decided that Valeria was really a pirate. I think when she lost her eye, the Halloween one, when it was got her the pirate costume, because it it was so playful and funny, and it was just a really endearing sort of, moment, I think, as well.
Austin, did you have one?
Yes, well, I've kind of got two. I'm just torn between them. So first off, and call me unoriginal, but I really love Jones's final line, and that is what I wouldn't give for the insult bot instead right now before, he kabooms. Yeah, before he sacrifices himself, because like I'd never voiced like a character that like I had done for an extended period of time that had died, and that because all the ones that I've done have died have just been like little side characters. This is one that actually grown an attachment to. So like after I finished, end recording, I was like, but I think the other one was season 1, episode 14, right before the Battle of the Bog. It's the one where they're in Fort Defiance looking for stuff, and they're like, "Are you sure you should be using that plasma cutter to cut open the door? Don't they explode?" And he says, "Yes, but it'll be fine." I use that so many times in my life. It's insane.
The giveaway is closed. I just announced in chat. We are going to draw our entries. So for the first piece of art, Lawrence, if you want to hold up the art against people, see what they win, whichever one you hold it first is what I'm going to give away first. So pick wisely.
All right.
Destiny's in your hands.
Here we go. The original Val.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
The original Val. Okay, everybody, here goes. Let's see who's going to get it. Ooh, Inara. There we go. Inara has been drawn for the giveaway.
Wow.
Thank you so much. You are getting the original Val print.
All right, awesome. And number 2, which is your very own glass print of the new Enclave emblem.
That's so cool.
So fancy.
Did you say glass print?
Yeah, these are the best.
This is the best,
yeah.
All that stuff behind them is those prints. It's so great.
Okay, we're going to draw an entrance. Get ready, y'all. The winner is Kilt Boy Gaming, DJ Kilt Boy.
Nice.
That is awesome.
I don't know if either of you are still in chat, but we will, of course, reach out to let you know. Actually, it looks like you both are. So thank you guys so much for coming through and listening to the whole thing tonight. We appreciate your support and listening to hours and hours and hours of us. Lawrence, any more closing thought, or do you want me to wrap up?
Just real quick, like I said, we have a lot more coming up. Season 4, The Ballad of Trader Red will be coming towards the end of this year. We're also going to be in Good Springs for the Fallout celebration, so you get a chance to meet us if you're going to be there as well. Once again, thank you to all the voice actors. Thank you to our awesome community. We look forward to many more years of content to come. And again, thank you all for participating today.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yes, we are going to go to our standby stream, let these people get back to their busy lives. Some people even have company tonight, places to go, things to do, but it's just fantastic to be here with y'all. Enjoy the scene and the music, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
That's such a cool transition. That's so
We streamed.
sick.
Thank you so much, Jess. You
thank you
are
for
a
hosting
rock
this.
star.
This was awesome.
If I could just say one thing, I didn't get the chance to say this earlier on stream. I just wanted to say that each and every one of you, you're just completely fantastic in what you do. Just keep on doing what you do. And for the past 5 years, being part of the cast and the crew, knowing all of you, everyone's shenanigans and antics, it's just it's really something that I didn't think that I would be a part of. And to now have a place in it, even after everything is said and done, I'm still here for the long run. And I really do appreciate each and every one of you, even if I don't get the chance to say it.
And voice actors never die, even if you're characters.
Just the characters.
That's what flashbacks are for. And
That is
just gonna use AI. I'm just
hallucination.
kidding.
Oh,
No, I'm not going anywhere, Lawrence. You can't get rid of me. You're stuck.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have it any other way for that matter.
Well, I
This
love
show
you
has
guys,
been-
but I'm going to get to my engagement party.
Yes.
So,
Go have a life.
Yes.
Do
I love you
that.
all. You're
right.
amazing. Thank you
So-
so much.
So
Have
Jess,
fun.
I am going to go take care of my kids and stuff. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your evening. And
Yes.
we'll be talking again soon.
Night all.
All right.
All right.
Good night,
folks.
everyone.
Bye.